Hey everyone, what I'd like to do today is have an informal chat about why the latest phone that I'm purchasing is a Xiaomi phone and not the latest iPhone 16 Pro or 16 Pro Max, two phones which I was quite serious about buying. Now, it's been a few weeks since I published a video, one reason being that I was busy, and the second reason, the obvious here is that I have an eye infection. It looks really bad, but I can assure you about 5-6 days ago, it looked much worse than this. I suspect it's because I've been run down or baby wasn't sleeping, but also I was in meetings all last week and the meeting rooms had, really cold air conditioning. I think it just dried out my eye. I don't know how I caught it, but anyway, that is why I'm going to condense myself into this little box up here in the corner. I'm not going to go full screen with my face. I don't want to submit you to that terror. But let's get back on track. What I'd like to do today is talk about phones. So, if you go back a few weeks, I published a video. Yes, that's what YouTubers do. We publish videos, and my last video was about the Xiaomi Mate XT Ultimate. And in that video, I also spoke about the new iPhone 16 series. Now, with regards to the Huawei Mate XT Ultimate, it's called a trifold phone, but as many of you quite rightly pointed out, it's a bifold phone, but it has 3 displays. That, trifold is just the marketing term that they all seem to have adopted. Check out that video if you want to learn more about what the Xiaomi Mate XT Ultimate is all about. But in my opinion, it's probably the most interesting thing we've seen in the smartphone world since regular folding and flipping phones came out a few years ago. I think it's one of the most interesting concepts. And if you've not seen it yet, I encourage you to watch some videos about it. It's quite amazing how light it is, quite amazing how it folds down. It's quite amazing how large the display is once it's fully unfolded. And as amazing as that phone is, I am not purchasing it. The cheapest model of the Huawei Mate XT Ultimate is $2,800, and then it goes up for more memory and storage, etc. I'm not spending that. I don't have the funds to throw away $3,000 at a phone, so I'm not buying it. But like I said, in that video, I also spoke about the iPhone 16 series, and in particular, I was interested in the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. So this is my iPhone 15 Pro Max. And just to give you a very quick rundown of the phones I've mostly been using the last few years, I had a Xiaomi 10T Pro a few years ago, fantastic phone. Then I went directly from that to the Samsung Fold 4. I might be missing a phone, but I had the Samsung Fold 4, and then I went to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, the first version of the 15 Pro Max that I got was, I think, £1,400 because I got 512GB of storage. I sent it back because there was some marks on the display, and I got this one. So 256GB of storage, and this one cost me £1,200 at the time. It's a lot of money for the phone, which is something that you have to talk about, and it's something that I think a lot of YouTubers are not talking about. It's just the price of these things. But yeah, I think it's a lot of money for a phone. But one thing I would say about iPhones, yes, they are expensive, but they do tend to hold their value better than Samsung phones and most other phones for that. iPhones are desirable, so they hold their value well. As far as, I did a video talking about, if I jump back here, you can see the video there, iPhone 15 Pro Max, 1 year later. Check that amazing video out if you want to learn more about what my thoughts are on this phone. Overall, it's been an amazing phone. I've really enjoyed using it. I think the camera system's amazing. It's maybe not as snappy as some Android phones, but it's quick. It's very quick. It's got a very powerful CPU. There's been the odd occasion that certain things have stalled, but I don't know if that's an iOS thing. But overall, I've been very happy with it. I think the only thing I'd maybe say is that I don't like Face ID that much. I think a fingerprint sensor just tends to be a better option in most situations. And I don't know why they don't have both. A fingerprint sensor and a power button, Face ID as well. But yeah, Face ID, I do think a fingerprint sensor, but I'm nitpicking there. Overall, very happy with it, and it has held its value well. So when the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max were announced, I was curious, and I actually recorded a different video about this, which I made unpublished because I think it wasn't a good enough video to go live with. But really, that video was talking about why you shouldn't upgrade. And one of the things I pointed out in that video, which I will link down below, one of the things I pointed out was that the smartphone market, the tablet market, and many other tech markets, the technology is kind of, we've reached a saturation point now. In the early 2000s, if you bought a smartphone and then you bought a smartphone a year later, that new phone it was so much faster, it had more storage, it was just so much better. That's not where we are today. If you're coming from like an iPhone 13 Pro Max or 14 Pro Max or something, yes, you'll maybe notice this being slightly faster, but not really. I mean, I think we've reached the point where you only have to really upgrade your smartphone every 3-4 years. Granted, most of you watching this are probably like, kind of gadget fiends like myself. We love technology. We want to get the latest phones. But I think for the average person, you only really need to upgrade your phone every couple of years. You don't have to go crazy and renew it all the time. And what that means in practicality, in reality, is that when you do upgrade, if you do upgrade every 6 months or every year, you're seeing very small upgrades. And that's the position I was in when I saw the announcement of the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. Arguably the best iPhones ever made. They've got the larger displays, they've got the improved battery life, they've got the new camera action button, etc. But as someone who has the 15 Pro Max that has battery life on it that's still at like 98% health, there wasn't much for me to upgrade, and I'd be spending £1,200 on the new phone, maybe selling this for 600, 700, so it's like a £500 upgrade. But what would I be getting? I would be getting a phone that's amazing, but only 5% better than this at most. And that's kind of where we are at. So I made the decision not to buy the iPhone, which is from a channel perspective is something a decision I had to make. But I did have a think about it because the new iPhone does look good, and I had a lot of companies saying we're going to send you accessories if you buy the phone. But I decided not to get it. So I did decide to buy a Xiaomi phone instead. Now, before I move on, I have to give a shout out to two people. One is David Harry. I mentioned him before on this channel. David's a great guy and he does lots of fantastic tech videos on YouTube. You can see here he bought the 16 Pro Max. He's been doing some tests with it and he's got some videos out for it already. And I'd like to talk about Mr. Switch as well. His YouTube channel is called Time to Unbox. And I'm giving them a shout out because for the last few weeks I've been talking to them about phones, and I've been talking about, should I upgrade to the iPhone? Should I get a folding phone, flipping phone? What phone should I get? But a couple of days ago, a new phone came into the mix, which, as you can tell, was a Xiaomi. So if I jump to here, I'll show you some of the phones that were announced. So Xiaomi had, they kind of teased an announcement for a while. So this was at the back of my mind when I was deciding whether to get an iPhone 16. I knew that Xiaomi were going to release the T series phones. And as I pointed out earlier, I did have a 10T Pro for a few years and I was very happy with it. One of the phones they announced the other day was the Xiaomi Mix Flip, and it's got a Snapdragon Gen 3. But I'll just go to the specs to show you. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, 12 gig of memory, 512 gigabit of storage. A lot of the flipping phones that I've seen come out this year, and for many of the phones, certainly from Motorola, etc., they're kind of mid-range specs. But what Xiaomi seem to have done here is come out with a really good kind of top-of-the-range spec-wise flip phone. But as cool as this is, it does look like a very, very good phone. This is not the phone that I was looking at. I was looking more at the 14T and 14T Pro. I'll leave a link to this. Check it out, read more about it, check out some reviews. The phones that I was looking at were the 14T and 14T Pro. Now, one thing to know about both of these phones right away is that they're effectively the same size and weight. It's not like one is the smaller phone and one is the larger phone. It really does come down to the specs. And if you go down here, you can see that the 14T has a Sony image sensor, 144 Hz display, 67 watts hypercharge, 5000 milliamp battery, and both of these phones use a MediaTek CPU. There's some really nice bonuses here: 4 months of Spotify Premium, Google One Cloud, 6 months access, 3 months for YouTube Premium. Pretty cool benefits here. But yeah, the 14T looks like a really nice phone. Comes in a nice few colors, as does the 14T Pro. And you can see the price difference there. It's only £100 more for the Pro. And I would say that the Pro is the one to get because it has a better camera system from Leica. It's got a better CPU. I've not used the MediaTek CPU myself, but I know that, from tests, etc., it seems to be, the same level as the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It's got a 144 Hz display, but this can charge at 120 watts wired and 150 watts, wireless, which is just insane. It's, the charging speeds are incredible. So yeah, I think for the price difference between these two phones, I think the Pro is the one to get. Now, as far as size, it's not 100% accurate, but from a size perspective, both of these phones are about the same size as my Pro Max, with a kind of millimeter margin, width, height, etc. Pretty much for all, I'll do a comparison when the phone comes, but for the most part, it seems to be the same size as a Pro Max phone. So both of these phones look really good, the 14T series. But here's the thing, and this is something that most of you might be aware of already, but Xiaomi, if you go on their official website, they are always running promotions. They're always running promotions. And, whether you get value from one of their phones sometimes depends on when you buy their phone. At launch, they sometimes do fantastic deals, Black Friday, etc. And it always pays to buy the phone that's on offer. And because they've just announced the 14T series, they are running some fantastic deals with the 14T and the 14T Pro. And you can see some of them here. Now, unfortunately, it seems that they've actually changed the deal a little bit over the last few days, but they haven't changed the deal. One of the problems just now is that they've run out of stock for the higher model. When this deal first came out, when it was announced a few days ago, I bought the most premium model for the 14T Pro, and it had 12 gigabytes of memory and 1 terabyte of storage. And it came with a wireless charger. There's a 10% discount off that brought the price down from £799 down to £719.10, which is really good. But also here in the UK, there's top cashback. You can get, the base level is 4.25%, which gives you £30.56 off. But the top cashback page for Xiaomi also says that there's up to 6.8% cashback using that 14T10 off code, and it's applicable to all Xiaomi 14T series models. Now, the deal that I got came with a Xiaomi Pad 6S Pro. That is a ridiculous deal. You're talking, between £670, £690 after cashback, and you get a tablet which sells for £600. Now, I know this tablet well because earlier in the year, before I bought the iPad Pro with the M4 chip, I was ready to buy this. And there's lots of reasons to buy this. It's got a 12.4-inch screen. You can see here, 144 Hz display, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, great speakers, 120-watt charging, 10,000 milliamp battery. It just looks like an amazing tablet. Now, the other thing about this is that they're throwing in a £600 tablet. But you can get about, if you just turn around and sell this on eBay, you can get about £400. But if you just want to sell it to like CEX here in the UK, you'll get £351. Now, more or less, if you had, got this deal a few days ago and you decided to get the top deal, 800, use the cashback, use the 10% voucher, and got this free tablet which you'll sell, you're going to bring the price of the phone down to about £350. Now, that is insane. And the reason it's insane is, if you look at the reviews of the 14T and 14T Pro, the 14T Pro, I don't know if you would use the term flagship killer, but a lot of the comparisons between the 14T Pro and the iPhone 16 Pro Max and 16 Pro, yes, the iPhone 16 probably has arguably the better camera system, but there's a lot of situations where the new 14T Pro from Xiaomi does better. But with all those discounts and with that tablet, etc., you're talking about that phone costing £300 instead of £1,200. the difference in price because of the offers there is absolutely insane. And yes, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Xiaomi 14T Pro is better than an iPhone Pro, an iPhone 16 Pro or iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's not. And I'll tell you right now, it won't be. I know it won't be, despite the fact it's got, the fast charging and all these things. I think like for like, if both phones cost the same price, you'd always gravitate towards the Apple iPhone. But they're not the same price. They're not the same price. And this is something that you have to take into account. And the deal that had the 6S Pro with the 1TB model, it really does bring the price down. It's insane how much value you get. Now, I kind of wish I did this video a few days ago because I was looking at it today and I'm like, why is the 6S Pro not mentioned there? Why is it not showing? And the reason is that it must be out of stock right now. Now, if you look at the top of this page, you'll see that they are running this promotion until, if I hide myself for a second, they are running this promotion until the end of October. So if you are interested in this deal for the top model, to try and get it, around the £300 mark here in the UK. And I'm using the UK as an example. I know they're running this promotion all around the world right now. But if you want to get that deal, you might have to wait until the 1TB model comes back in stock, because right now they've got the 512GB model, which is £700. And this comes with the wireless charger. It seems to come with another gift here as well, which they let you pick which one you're going to get here. But the other gift appears to be the Xiaomi Pad 6. Now, this Xiaomi Pad 6 is also a great little Android tablet. It retails at $369, but from a selling point of view, you'd be getting, it's 162. You'd maybe get £200 for it on eBay, which, you can take into consideration when you buy the phone. So you buy that for 700, you sell the tablet for 200, you're down at £500 for the phone. It's not as good as a deal, obviously, as the 1TB model. It just doesn't. But if you use a 10% voucher on this as well, that will bring it down to $630. You get the cash back, that brings it down. It still works out to be an amazing deal. And another thing here, this is something that I took advantage of as well, is that if you go through PayPal, you can get 0% interest over any period up to 2 years. So for me, it was like £30 a month over 2 years. It's going to be very quick to pay this off. But if I don't pay it off right away, it's only £30 per month. So there are lots of deals here for the 14T and 14T Pro. And you'll see them all here. Lots of different, the cheaper models tend to have the cheaper tablets packaged with them. But there's a lot of great deals here. Probably the worst deal was probably with the Flip. If there was a really good tablet deal with that, it might have been a little bit more tempting. But yeah, that is the main reason why I've opted to get the 14T Pro. The deal that I opted for is just insanely good. The top model with 1TB, because you get such a good tablet thrown in, which is here. Because that tablet is included in the top model with 1TB of storage, you're getting this tablet thrown in. It's just an amazing deal. And it means that the 14T Pro becomes just unbelievable value. And the crazy thing is, I've looked at some prices of the 13T Pro that had the highest storage, and a year later it's still selling for like 450, 500 in the UK. So, from what I've been spending, if I just sell the tablet on, I could potentially be using the phone for a year and selling it for more than what I paid. There is a question mark over the tablet for me, and that is, I could just keep it. It looks like such an amazing tablet. I'm like, why don't I just keep it? But I don't need 2 tablets. So if I do choose to keep the Xiaomi Pad 6S tablet, I would probably sell my iPad Pro because it would be surplus to requirements. And then you take selling into account, I don't know if it's worthwhile. But anyway, that is a different story altogether. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I really just wanted to show you the deals that Xiaomi have on with these phones. I'll talk more about the phone, obviously, when it arrives, and I'll talk more about the specs, etc. But for now, I just wanted to talk about the value that companies like Xiaomi and other Android companies as well, which are giving when they run their promotions. And it is something to take into consideration. I do think in many ways the whole Android versus Apple iPhone thing, I think it's a silly debate. You buy the phone that you want, and I'm of the opinion that it's very easy to switch from one operating system, one platform to the other. So it really just comes down to what you like. But there's no getting away from the fact that yes, iPhones hold their value well, but the real value still remains, it's the Android world. The Android world is where you get value for your money. And some of these Android phones that are out here are just offering amazing value. Now, one thing to note about the Xiaomi 14T Pro and the Xiaomi 14T is that these phones look amazing, right? These do look like amazing phones, but we are very close to the release of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. So we're going to see a lot of new phones coming out very soon that have the new CPU. But really, from a value perspective, this is why I've opted to buy the phone. It just looks amazing. So thanks, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I just wanted to talk about this subject and talk about the deals on offer for that phone. It's something Xiaomi do very well with running promotions, and a few other companies do as well. I'm sure some people are going to, see the title of this video, watch this video and go, oh, you're saying Xiaomi is better than iPhone and all that. I'm not. I just think that one thing that many YouTubers are not talking about is value. And it's one of the things that I think should always be a big factor when you're buying a phone. Unless you're just made of money and you don't care, you can buy any phone at any time. That's a different category, that's a different breed. I think for most people, they want to get value, whenever they buy a phone. And if you keep your iPhone for years, you're going to get value from your phone. But for a top of the range smartphone, the Xiaomi deal seems amazing. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Over the last month or two, I've had some fantastic comments from you guys. Always love interacting with you. Especially because some of you are just so enthusiastic about smartphones and tech, and some of you are actually more knowledgeable than me. So please do leave a comment if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and all that stuff. And I will see you in the next one. And hopefully over the next few weeks, I won't look like, hopefully I won't look like such a troll. But thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.